They stuck the landing.
They stuck the landing.
They stuck the
Like
landing.
it
How
was
many times
all
does
we
this
needed.
happen?
Right? It's like Simone Biles when her routine is already harder than everyone's. So it's like she's gonna beat you. We just need her to not fail. Like she just needs to stick the landing. Like that's what this was. That's what
Oh,
this was.
amazing.
Oh,
Amazing. Like legit, my only complaint, just straight up, my only like, and it is so teeny, is that it took, I feel like, again, I think they ended it perfectly. I think they ended it perfectly. I just think, again, I think they held off any kind of mention of him just a beat too long.
that was almost an insult, that final frame. Like again, perfect ending with the shot.
Yes.
With it was like a callback to other Batman movies, but like it was just so funny because they have not acknowledged his existence once. And right before the camera fades to black, they're like, oh yeah, by the way,
Oh yeah.
boom.
Oh, that's right. We forgot about this guy.
Yeah, right.
I guess we should mention him at some point.
The
And like,
final frame of the show.
which I think that's exactly how it should have ended. I do
Yes,
like, I think that's perfect, like having him on top of the world and thinking he's done it, he's made it, he's that's where he's at. He's defeated
yes.
all of his enemies, and what could possibly go wrong? Boom, bat signal. I absolutely 100% agree that that's how it should have been ended. I just think for that to be your first and last reference to him was
Yes.
just my only complaint.
And it's so tiny
Yeah,
because the show was so good
so
without him.
monumentally good. Yes,
It's this obviously in the world of Gotham. It's like, come on, guys. And again, we didn't need to see him.
just you could.
We just needed people looking over their shoulders in alleyways, driving and seeing that beam in the sky and just being like, oh, I hope I don't have any trouble tonight. Like, it's all I would have needed.
But like I was saying, it's like you could have mentioned like there were many times where a TV was on or a car radio was playing, and all you could had needed was like in this day and age, there's always so many pundits talking, giving their opinions about everything now.
Yeah.
All you needed was even just all you needed was just a sentence of, and where is the bat?
Yeah.
Like literally, and the person listening to the radio doesn't have to reference it. The people watching TV don't have to reference it. It never has, but just as long as you hear people out there in Gotham wondering where he is and why it's been going on, like just that. But
Couldn't
again,
agree
like
more.
small, tiny
Yes.
complaint. I mean, like of an overall amazing show. That I knew you weren't watching it last night, but I was like, bro, this beginning is insane.
So football Sunday was yesterday, and normally I watch it at my house where I go to a specific bar. I went to a different bar with some friends. Many games were watched, many drinks were had, many wings were eaten. So when I got home, I was like in no condition to focus. Like I could not focus on the Penguin, and I knew how big the episode was going to be.
Right.
I was like, my best
Oh,
bet is to
smart
just keep
play.
watching football.
Smart play, because that I think in an inebriated state
Yes.
that episode would have tripped you out.
Exactly. But I was gonna watch it in the afternoon, and you were like, try to avoid spoilers. I was like, you know what? I'm setting my alarm like 1 hour earlier. I woke up and I went to my TV away from my sleeping wife and son, and I watched it first thing in the morning. So glad I did.
Which is why when you texted me and you were like, you said it, and I was like, that was great. And then I literally cut off communication with you.
Yes.
It's like, no, save it for later. Like
Uh,
it's because it was just that, oh, just that opening scene. And so you have that opening scene,
yes.
and then you go to him in the room with with her, and then she brings in his mother. That scene between the three of them,
Incredible.
All of
Well,
them.
for one, the kid version of Oz, phenomenal. The accent when they were
Yes.
at the bar or the yeah at the
Like the
bar
club.
at the club, his dialogue and the accent just phenomenal. Good
The
for you. Like,
desperation, the
yes.
desperation for his mother's approval, and then but like the desperation for his mother's approval, and simultaneously the like him, like, I know you miss him, and like still like no remorse
Oh,
on his face. And when he turns his head and you this shot of the actress that Deidre D, her just the look of, just I was just like, this is like,
like
I just
5, 10 minutes
chills.
in, it already stuck the landing.
Yes.
That
When
was
she has
so
that
good.
look on her face, when that
Yes.
little kid turns his head and she gives him that look, I thought that look said so much.
And then it just adds so much weight to every other scene they had previously.
Right.
Like watching that scene and now thinking back to every interaction, obviously they've had years of it, but just the scenes that we saw in the show, it just adds so much weight. Like she has been holding this
She
in and holding it
hates him.
against you
Yes.
for decades.
Hates you. Like
Oh,
hates you, wanted to have you killed, couldn't do it, and then like just
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 stuffed it down as deep as you could go. Like incredible.
it,
Incredible.
it's so, it's just that, like I said, and the scene where she's about to have her finger cut off, and he's he still won't do it.
Still,
He's still, because I guess in his mind, his thought is a pinky. Yes, a pinky is going to hurt. I mean, obviously, that a finger being cut off is going to hurt. It's still not going to hurt as much as me having to tell you I killed your boys.
yes.
Like, you'll get over the pinky. You may never get over this without her knowing, without him knowing that she already knew. He's
Hmm.
thinking, I'll just keep lying. I'll just keep lying. The pinky will heal. We can't repair the damage. What if I utter those words? Like, I can't repair that damage. We can fix the finger. I can't fix the other.
That situation just embodied everything we had said about him throughout the series of him being a step ahead, but everyone else being 2 steps ahead.
Right.
He was in that position with his
Of
mother,
constantly on the fly.
constantly on the fly, thinking that, like, no, she doesn't know, I got this, I'll work my way out of it. She was 10 steps ahead of him in the sense that she already
New.
knew and had known. Like
Right.
that interaction summed up the whole thing. And then Sophia, the wardrobe department. I mean, serving looks all season, but this specific episode with the
That
black
dress.
dress, with the red scarf, and then the boots with the red bottoms, I was like, round of applause. And then she had 2 more fire outfits. It's like the wardrobe department wasn't sure how many episodes were left. So like we have these fire outfits to spread out, and they're like, "Oh, this is the finale." They're like, "Okay, bet we are going to rotate you into
Right.
so many amazing outfits in this one episode." Because she goes from that to the plaid dress thing, very
Mm-hmm.
colorful, with her dialogue of the dark dialogue with the color of the dress, and then at the end with like the red fur, I was just like, give it up for the wardrobe department because
Not only that, but then
incredible.
what they put even at the very end,
Yes.
which was like some Norman Bates type crap. I mean, like that. Oh, it just had about like the ick factor in that.
Oh,
Just, it was so transactional. Like,
yes.
I, it went back to what she, like her conversation with Sophia when they had the conversation was, I give men exactly, like, she's like, I bet you have to like kind of adjust to what men want on the fly at any given time. And it's like, then you kind of like, you start to see like really what was that transaction between her and Oz. And it was like
Yeah.
her, like it was a mommy thing. And it was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
but I mean, every, with Sal, when he died and he was like, I beat you, and it was very important for it was like he never got that closure of like actually beating him, like that. And so then with the same thing with his mother is she went mute right before he could ever hear the words, I'm proud of like he never got that. And so there's like then it's like with the Eve at the end, you're just like, this is
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
so icky. Like
Yeah.
tell me you're proud of me. And I'm just like, oh, can we not do this right now? Like people are watching.
Like at first I thought it was a flashback. Like I
Right,
thought his mind because with his mom, you would like she was I think like looking in the mirror and she was seeing her younger self and it was kind of
right,
going back and forth. So in the end, that's what I thought it was. I thought that was his mother. He was like
right,
hallucinating almost.
right.
Like he was on some bliss and he was just hallucinating his mother saying that she was proud of him. And I'm like, okay, so he's really losing it. And then like I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I had to rewind it and I'm like, oh, that's not his mom. That's
No,
okay. Okay.
that yeah, like that she's so clearly Sophia held to her word and never did tell Oz that Eve ratted him out,
Right.
which good on them
Which
for,
allows her to just keep making money off Oz
right,
at
the
what cost, but yeah.
right. Ugh. Another thing, I mean, we'll get to one of I mean, again, the episode's just it's just cram packed with just everything. He makes it out away from Sophia and Julian, mind blown, a little worried about the whole link thing with when was thinking, oh boy, like either Vic is gonna flip
I
or
thought Vic got played.
yeah, or was gonna get played. And then that scene was masterful. Like when they show all the seconds taking out all the firsts,
Yes. When
like
did he have that conversation with them?
they well, I think I
Did Vic
think
set that up?
essentially Vic kind of Vic that was kind of Vic's speech to Oz was
That's
you've
true.
given it like you've shown it's possible, you've given hope to this, like that was kind of Vic's message to him, like you're the one that did this, you're the one that. And I think that kind of maybe that kind of then Oz took that message and used it for his own, you know the speech that he needed to give to these seconds to rise up against them. You did get to see Bella Real.
Yes.
That was
That was that city council scene I thought was it was a very good tell it was a good scene, the imagery of this transaction between criminal and upstanding
right
citizen with the roles reversed, where the criminal is on the stand talking to the quote upstanding citizen in this courtroom. It
with him elevated and
with
him speaking down.
exactly,
Right,
and it set up obviously the next Batman movie pretty well. But like, I thought that was just a well done scene because it wasn't just them having this conversation in a dark alleyway or a parking lot. Like it was
sure,
in the most
in your
justice,
face,
yeah, in
kind
your
of like
face,
I'm
yeah,
here, like I'm not
yeah,
going anywhere, I will show up to your work.
yeah. That was so good. Like, yeah, it's just so many different things. And then, you know, I guess that's when he started to set up the
Yeah,
backstabbing. And then um I just you see the mayor, you see her crime task force, and then almost immediately I thought not only was the imagery of um Oz and the politician in that courtroom very poetic,
right,
I guess. But the mayor at the top of the stairs in an elevated place, and I guess not like her looking down on people, but she was in an elevated place
right.
in a sense of like she is on top of this, she is good, she's up here, but in your own house, in a literal sense, right under your nose,
He's
literally,
standing there.
he is standing there making deals with politicians while you are running your whole campaign on this anti-corruption thing. Like I thought that was beautiful, and it was a small thing because they didn't
Oh
have any
no,
dialogue, but not just having her in the same room with him, but having her at the top of the stairs and Oz standing directly below her
and
while
staring
just
at her. Not
yes,
walk. It wasn't like it was a shot where you're seeing her and you seeing him walk out.
yeah,
It's he's standing there staring at her.
yes.
And
This is happening right under your nose, and it just like sums up Gotham in a nutshell. But like, that whole scene, while the suspense of wondering is he gonna get shot as he walks out the door because
right.
there's a bounty on him, while that was suspenseful, I thought just cinematically those two scenes back to back of him with the politician in the courtroom and then him standing down looking up at the mayor who's probably holding papers about her anti-corruption task force. I, that right there, I was just like, well done. Well done.
Oh, they knew what they were doing.
Yes.
It again, it just scene after scene of it. And thank goodness they did not kill her off.
I was so happy, but also they put her back in the worst place in match. Here's the thing. I'm just gonna say it. I need Batman to beat the brakes off this guy. I need him to beat the brakes off him. Not only did you send my beautiful Sophia back to
Well, we're gonna
Arkham,
get to that. We know what you're gonna say.
and then you did what you I need Batman to just do what he did to that guy at the beginning. Who are you? Who are you supposed to be? Like I need him to do that to the Penguin. Oh man.
I think it's yes. We're going to we're gonna move through like yes. It was nice to see Sophia get or and it was just nice to see her not be killed and that there is a place for her in the story in the Batman 2 going forward. Like
And that
that's
was a cool twist because I was glad they didn't kill her, but as she was driving to the airport, I thought
it was
this
over.
is her send-off. I'm glad they didn't kill her. There's always the potential to bring her back from Italy or wherever, but she's leaving.
I
Cool.
was seriously worried that he was going to kill her at the river.
Same.
I was like, oh wow, they're
Because
really
once
going
she got to the airport, I thought this is her send-off. But then the plot twist, the seconds take over.
right,
So then I'm like, oh, okay, well, she's dead. They didn't keep her alive. He didn't not kill her there and all of that to like he's gonna kill her at the river. I
right.
thought the writers they had us think she got away just for her to not get away, and in the end she ends up like everybody else in Gotham. No. I mean technically yes, because in Gotham nobody really dies. They all go to Arkham. But in the world of the show, I was like, this is how they end her story. They're going to kill her.
Yeah, I was as convinced as she was that
Yeah,
that was the end.
right. And
That that
even looking death in the face, she didn't care. She still looked
no,
amazing. She
you're
didn't
right.
flinch.
Nope, she did not. I enjoyed her. Everybody talking about the scene of her with the three cigarettes in her mouth.
Oh,
Like everybody's like, didn't know I needed that in my life.
right. I like the show is the Penguin, but she came in as
Everybody's
the
everybody's gonna
co-star.
have a nom or a
It's
nod for the
it's
nomination for
yes, just
it's
every scene that she was in, she owned. And then obviously episode five, whatever the name of it was the best episode in the series, which is always funny when the episode about a side character is like the best one.
right.
Like the show as a whole was amazing, and that's taking nothing away from Colin Farrell, but that episode specifically showing her descent into madness, where she was the bright-eyed, innocent one, and then going to Arkham and just being broken down, and then being at her lowest, but then surviving and then coming out. Like I think, and then the way they ended it with the gas, like
Which was
great.
great because like her backstory was it was good because unfortunately, I mean, I don't want to say unfortunately because the kid was amazing too, but Oz's backstory was him basically as a child act, as the child
Yeah.
actor portraying his backstory. So he got, like I don't think like ever really like Colin Farrell. I mean, like right, the entire show is Colin Farrell's. That's yes, I mean that's not to take anything away from him, but because you don't have like like a rewind shot or a rewind scene of him coming. I mean, you did kind of, but it was with him
As
with
her
Sophia.
driver. Yeah.
Right. So
He
it's
was the secondary character in that one.
right. So I mean, like his main, his flashbacks were all through this child who did an amazing job. That's so yeah, that it to Yeah, I'm glad they did not kill her. And to jump past the next one, but to go back to her, the very last scene mentioning the Selena Kyle, I thought was a brilliant move too,
Same.
because I had forgotten that Falcone did cop to being Selena's.
He's got some good genes, I'll tell you that. No, I had forgotten until I saw someone mention it back in like episode 4 or 5. And then I was like, oh, yeah, like, duh. That
Right.
was kind of like an important part of the Batman.
Right. So I was very glad that they even just mentioned her. Like,
Yes.
you might not have to do anything with her in the movie, but just the again, I think it's like me and you were on the same page, is just the acknowledgement. From my understanding, there are people with like the movie Avatar, and like Marvel has, and they have people that are continuity
Yes.
specialists that have to keep track of all this stuff, just to have somebody be like, hey, you know, she's out there and they're half sisters. Like, just
Yep.
I I'm not saying, again, we're never saying like, like much going back to Agatha all along. And nobody really expected Mephisto to show up in it, but just saying his name was fine. That just an acknowledgement that, yeah, he's out there. Sometimes you don't have to bring the character full bore into the series, just an acknowledgement of, this is the world and the universe that you're operating in. Here here is a mention of it. Like, here
Yeah,
is.
to an extent, to the opposite, and again, I always say I hate to bring this show up, but in the Acolyte, when you of all the Jedi on the council use Mundi to mention to be around for the whole Sith
Right,
situation, when he was the one, and you could have said he was exaggerating the length of time, but of all the Jedi you could have picked, he was the one that said the Sith have been extinct for millennia. Like, you
right.
literally could have picked any Jedi on the
Anybody.
council. You could have made up a Jedi.
Right,
But you picked him
right.
specifically. Like, you needed a
So,
continuity person to be like, well, wait a minute. In episode 1, this happened. He
exactly
uttered this
right.
one line.
That person is kind of not doing what they're paid big money. Like,
Exactly.
you're not doing what I'm sure you're getting paid good money to do what everybody on the internet can easily do. Like,
Right.
you got to remember, everybody has the same tools that you do. You're supposed
Yes.
to have more, and
Right.
you're supposed to have a nice little file that all the rest of us don't have. Now, moving away from Sophia, the part that I think I did you predict that he wouldn't make it?
I predicted he wouldn't make it, and I predicted it would be because of the penguin. I did not think it would be by his literal own hand or
No, I didn't.
forearm that would be the way that it happened. I thought he was going to sacrifice him, double cross him because someone had to go down, like, national treasure. Someone's got to go to prison. Ben, like, I figured he was going to be like Vic was going to be the guy. I did not like had me speechless. I need Batman to beat the brakes off this guy. I When he said his mom was the only one that kept him good, we all kind of chuckled, like, bro, you're not good. But is it his mom was the only one that kept him from being a full-on madman? But then it's like, also no, because you killed your brothers before, so you're already insane.
Yeah, like she said, I'm living with, what did she say? I'm living with
I'm
the
living with
devil.
the devil.
Devil.
Yeah. Like, saying that, I mean, obviously in his mind, the realization, the consensus was having attachments
Makes you
is
weak.
a weakness. People
But he
can
kept Eve
exploit.
around. And is it like the only reason he's keeping Eve around is because is the she's playing the role of his, like, he didn't get what he needed from his mom? I mean, because like you're like, so I mean, like, she is there and she is a weakness, but I mean, like, I guess it's because maybe he knows in his mind, this isn't my mother, so she's not really family. Whereas the second that Vic said, it's like, like, you're my family, and I thought, oh, and
Yeah.
I didn't even know it then, but I just thought, please, this is not going. You saw what the minute he said that, I instantly thought of his brothers, and I thought, that doesn't mean to him.
I didn't catch it that way.
I thought,
I guess I
that's not the
should
person
have.
to say to.
Right. I
He just
just That was so shocking and
That sucked to
heartbreaking.
watch.
Yes, because it was very slow, just
Uncomfortable,
uncomfortable.
wormy.
Yeah. And then you knew I mean, he made his own decision, but you basically guilt tripped him into not taking the bus to California with that one girl. You had a chance to get out. He guilt tripped you. Again, you're grown, you make your own decisions. But Oz's speech, he keeps giving these speeches, guilt tripped him into coming back. He did all of this stuff for you. He risked his life for you. He did all of this. And then in the end, you decided that he couldn't be kept around and you did what you were going to do after the first episode when you caught him trying to steal your rims.
And then stole money off of him.
And then stole money off him. And I wondered, what was it? Maybe it was to make it look like a random robbery in the park.
Which is crazy because how many robbers choke their victims?
No, it's well, in Gotham, probably a
Well,
lot.
no, I mean, like, I get what you're saying. Like, I get it to make it look like it was just some sort of like hobo random thing that
Yeah,
happened in the park. But I mean,
you would have
like
gotten
you,
stabbed or something.
right? Like, shoot him,
Yeah,
or like, but like choke, like you choked him, tossed him off to the side, and then went through his wallet.
yeah, that one. I kind of just sat there for a minute, almost like you had to pause it and then just like sit there because that like uncomfortable
Yes,
because it was so quiet, but
yes.
also knowing everything that led up to that. Like again, I thought they were gonna get jammed up and Oz was gonna push him forward, like kill this guy, or they're shooting bullets and he was gonna do something
Like even at
to
like the
deter him.
airport, like catch a random,
Yeah,
catch a stray.
exactly.
Oops,
Or yeah, or they are running away from Sophia's people, and Vic is
it
running to
bleeds
the
out.
car, and
Right.
he leaves him the way they left Sophia. Like that's what I thought would happen. I did not think he would be the reason. So I started compiling a list because like you should have seen it coming. Like not you, but like in general, every single person that Oz interacted with, he double crossed at some point.
Sure.
Very first person he comes in contact with is Sophia's brother. He went there to steal. The brother comes in, was Vinny comes in. They start talking. He said, I'm going to work for you, blah, blah, blah.
Alberto. Yes.
Alberto. 2 minutes after he says this, he shoots him. Okay.
Right.
Then he meets Vic outside the club. Obviously, we just talked about, took a while, but double crossed him in the absolute worst way possible. Goes to the prison, talks to Sal
Sal
Maroni,
and his
uh,
wife.
his wife. It kills his wife, kills the son, makes a deal with them, double crosses Sal, talks to the Falcones, double crosses them for the Maronis because in that whole cargo van situation,
Sure.
double crossed the Falcone family. Then he had Sophia,
Yep.
and then when the Maronis found out, he literally gave the same speech that he gave to his mother when he's like, I'll prove it to you every day. When Sophia in the club said, I don't know if I can trust you, he said, well, I got to prove it to you every day. And then 5 minutes later, when they're held at gunpoint outside, double crossed her right
Yep.
there. And then he called the heads of the families together, made another rousing speech, and then double crossed them with the seconds. Every single person that you have interacted with, you have double crossed in some way, shape, or form, which ended in them dying.
Yeah.
And I know the Falcone family, you double crossed them, and technically Sophia did it, but like you were going to have them killed at some point. Like,
Right. You were trying. You were fine. You were going to figure out a way to do it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
The only person I would say he didn't double cross was his mom, but technically he double crossed her first as an 8-year old.
right. Right.
Like,
By saying like, absolutely, I didn't do it. And ultimately, like, she has a stroke. Which could have been the work of all that stress of what was going on in that
yeah,
episode. I mean,
for sure.
like that you and even then you sat in her at her face and just and wouldn't give it up, wouldn't say it.
Yeah.
Even after she stabbed you in the stomach.
Yes, which I that one I loved that she did it. You deserved it.
Yes.
You deserved it. But I felt like it's one of those J old James Bond things in the old James Bond movies where this dude would get like kicked off a train, beat up, shot in the arm, and then he doesn't even break a sweat. Like Oz was limping around for a little bit, and then he had to stitch himself up. But I'm like, dude, you should have been like pretty slow for the rest of the episode. Like there was like one, and again, very small potatoes. Like I'm not losing sleep over it, but there was a couple times throughout that episode, I'm like, didn't you get stabbed like 6 hours ago? And you're not like a young, youthful guy. Like
No.
that should affect you a
Right.
good
Well,
amount.
there was a little bit of, I mean, he's a little chunky, you know. I don't know if it
Yeah,
made it to any
that's
organs
true.
before it
Yeah, it
well, a
absorbed
few
it. Yeah,
right,
maybe that's what it was.
few layers before. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think like I said, I think it stuck the land. I think it's one of the few shows that stuck like we've seen in a while that just it did it. Again, we didn't hate the way Agatha ended. We just were like, I mean, after it was just really tough to follow that Lily
Lilia.
the Lily
Honestly, yeah, that episode set the bar
so
so
high.
high,
Right.
and they put it two-thirds of the way towards the end, so it was like still
Right.
very fresh in your mind. This
Right.
show, not just this year, I will put that show as a super, not just a superhero show or
Oh yeah.
comic show, just as a show in general.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think
Because
of the worst episode.
there was nothing superhero. I mean, yeah, it was if it was not set in Gotham, you would it was there was nothing supernatural superhero-ish
No.
about it at all. It was a gangster film. I mean, it was a
Yeah.
gangster series, which not bad. I mean, not it you didn't have if you notice they didn't have any of the trope like he um didn't have the normal trope of like a gangster. I mean, he was a gangster,
It's true.
but he never called women. I mean, like I don't know how if we're allowed to say it, but like he never called women the B word. Like
Yeah.
he never really like you hate to say like he considered them as equal because he would just double cross everybody. Like, you know,
Right.
didn't care race, read, was it race, creed, religion? He didn't
Yeah,
care. You
it
know,
did
like
not matter.
no, it did not matter. But it was like he, but he never was like disrespectful in
Yeah.
that sense. Like he
Yeah.
was. So it was they did smash some normal like mafia tropes in it, but
Think about at the end with his outfit. Like
mhm,
that was I don't want to say fan service because I feel like in recent years fan service has been a negative, but
right,
having him, they told you need to clean up, you need to look the part. So that is the reason that he dressed up the way he did towards the
right,
end. But for the people that know the penguin as the penguin, when I saw the suit and the little coattails, I was just like,
top hat.
well done. And then the building,
Even
you
like
got
I was
the
like even geeking
penthouse.
out when he came down this when you because his mom's on the top floor and he
Yes.
came down the stairs. I just thought, oh, I don't even know if it was, but I instantly got the Batman Return, like the
Yes.
because he had gave his speech on the stairs, and I
Yes.
just even just
That
when he's
is where
coming down the
my mind
stairs,
went.
yeah, I was
I
like,
was looking for a
that's awesome.
blimp.
I don't know if you did that on purpose, but that's awesome
I
because
was
that's
looking for a blimp.
exactly what I was thinking about. Yes.
Yes. Now my question is with Julian,
How did he get his job back?
how did he get his job back? Did he quit? He said he quit? Yeah, he said he quit because he felt ashamed, and then
He just is working
he's
again.
working there again, and Sophia is there, and I don't know. I mean at first I was like, oh, maybe he's there for like a conjugal visit, but then I was like,
He was
no,
dressed the
she's
part. He
yeah, he
had
looks the
the
part. She's at Arkham. He was talking about you got mail. This isn't your usual mail. So this was like
a
she'd
while.
been there for a while at this
Right.
point,
Right.
and I don't know. I was confuzzled about that because yeah, I was like, Julian's just back. Like
He's just back. I'm like,
he's just
oh, of
back.
course we kept your job open for you. Why wouldn't
Yeah,
we?
it's hard to find people to work at Arkham, so of course, of course.
Hey. Yeah, maybe that's what it is they
what are
were
these
just like,
burns on your wrist? Have you been tied up recently? Like, oh well, yeah, it's just a thing I've been doing.
right, like, and so, and she's not bothering to say like this guy was at my house.
Yeah.
Like, I
When he
maybe she just
first
kept
walked in, when he first walked in the room, I thought, okay, he knows Arkham, he knows the codes, he probably knows some people. He's about to break her out. Like he's coming in disguise
right.
and he's gonna break her out. And then he's
Nope.
like talking about her mail and this, and I'm like, okay, are you pretending because there's cameras on? Like, and then he just hands her the mail. I'm like, oh no, you're working there. Like this
Right.
isn't a setup. Like
Right.
you're just working there.
And is he
What's going
and
on?
it's one of those things is he running the same is he doing the same things to her? Is he doing the shame shock therapy to her?
Right.
Because she looked pretty just just out of
Out
it.
of it.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah. So I don't know. I mean, like it's we got 2 year and a half, year and
Yeah.
a half
It's a
before the movie.
while. Not happy about that, but I'm not like
Solid show. If they keep doing
exactly.
their formula should be one of these shows, the movie, another show,
Yes.
keep giving me origin stories for these villain like I know the rumor originally had been that they were gonna do a Joker one, but then they like quickly then they said no, that's not how
No,
we're gonna do it.
no.
Um but I think if you can have that kind of formula and that kind of writing, do that. I mean like that that was I think originally that would have been what Marvel would have done had they have not just done 1,000 shows all at one time.
They
Um,
openly said that was their formula. So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. came out because people said we want more content. They
right,
wanted something to bridge the gap in between the two movies a year that they were
right.
making. Then they started making four movies a year and then six shows a year, and we descended
It's
into madness.
right.
But
It dilutes everything, and
yeah,
I think solidly working on one show and giving it everything you've got, and just making sure that's quality before you move on to the next project. I think is they've shown that's the way to go. So
yes,
now I, of course, did see the first episode of Dune Prophecy.
yes.
So we will still record though. After that, I'm interested in seeing what you have to say about it. It was interesting. I think too, my initial thoughts are I don't want to say they're trying to be Game of Thronesy. I will say there's a decision that they made, especially for the end of the episode, where you're like, oh, okay, I can see like you're trying to be shocking and move the story forward. So we'll see.
Did they push a kid out of a window and paralyze him just to have the kid become king in 10 years?
Um no, there is a child involved, but he doesn't get shoved out a window. No.
What is that, the 18th?
It's next Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday, yeah. They're starting, yeah, it's the exact they're this the Penguin ended and they're immediately I think replacing it with Dune Prophecy. So
I mean, it's the same fan base, so
yeah.
I get it.
Lots of
I'm here
nerd
for it.
every nerd, all the
Yeah,
nerds are gonna tune in. I mean, that's what we do.
exactly. Which again, it's still wild to me how, and maybe I'm wrong, but you knew your Game of Thrones crowd was probably going to be the Penguin crowd, or I guess House of the Dragon crowd.
Right.
It is wild how little advertising I feel like we got for the Penguin. Because if it were me,
Absolutely.
I would have shoved a. They did eventually release the Last of Us trailer, but every week before and after the episode started, there would have been an ad for the Penguin, and I feel like
Right.
I saw maybe one.
Yeah, no, it was which I mean, maybe that worked out well because
Yeah,
it, I don't know.
didn't set
I don't know.
expectations too high, but I feel like no matter what your expectations were, it
It's
shattered them.
exceeded it. Oh
I
yeah,
feel like if you
absolutely.
didn't like the Penguin, then I don't like your taste in movies and shows. I
Right.
I don't.
There were a few people like on Twitter and stuff like that that were like there was one guy who was like, "Oh, that finale was trash." And somebody's comment underneath it was like they just dropped the episode like 10 minutes ago, so we all know you're lying. Like just go ahead and just shut your account down because you were
Yeah,
clearly lying because they just released the episode. So
yeah.
but yeah. we'll pick up, we'll watch Dune Prophecy, we'll give you our thoughts again. And so I mean that brings us to a conclusion. I think it was I would say 10 out of 10. I don't have any I don't have like I
That's what
said,
I'm saying. I'm trying to think of the weakest episode, and I
I
don't even
can't.
know which one it would be. But if you had to pick one, that weakest episode would be rated like an 8.5.
Sure. Actually, yeah, that's what I'm going to plan on doing tonight is I'm going to look to see what they're all rated. I would love to
Yeah.
see what the average
I
was.
know there were
What
some nines, but I looked at the ratings like 2 to 4 hours after the episode aired. I have to believe some of those probably dropped because there's no way. I mean, there is a way, but I feel like
people are just
their show
crappy.
didn't get 9.5 across the board. Like, but
Yeah.
I feel like they didn't get anything below an 8, in my opinion.
Yeah. I'm going to check it. I think I don't think you're wrong. I think that's definitely I'm sure it's going to be like next the whenever the Emmys the nominations come out, I think it's going to be like Shogun. I think it's going to be one of those where you're just like, okay, and it
Yeah.
sweeps. And you're
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
so I mean, like that's so yeah. You're not going to be. I don't think anybody. I think everybody will be surprised if the winners don't come out of that show.
For sure.
So yeah,
I don't watch every show, but I can't think of anyone that would get best supporting actor above Chris
Kristen.
Sophia, whatever her name
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Like,
I can't. Even the mom would tie. I mean, like she could even.
yeah.
She would be the only one that would give her, and I don't think she'd beat her for that. So
Mm-mm.
it's so good. So, and we are finished with this episode, and glad you hung around for the penguin.
Yes.
We'll start up next week with Dune Prophecy. So
Yes.
until
Can't
then,
wait.
bye.